He's been an award-winning media personality and producer. As a speaker, he's empowered over 1 million people from the stage. Now, one of the leading brand experts and business coaches in the U.S. is bringing his unique brand of straight talk to the world of on-demand audio. It's the Business Bully Podcast. Now, here's the business bully himself, David Anderson.
Power 99, it's the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Now we have a friend to the show. He actually used to work here. You might know him as Taz Daddy. But now he goes by the name of David Anderson. So welcome back, Taz.
It's good to be home.
Happy to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
So crazy part about Taz is I first met Taz when I was actually auditioning to be on Power 99.
Yes.
Remember that, Taz?
Yes, I was training my replacement, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I didn't know that at the time.
Not know that.
So it's crazy how life works, but Taz is such a good guy. I came in on a weekend and Taz ran my board because, I didn't work here yet, so I couldn't run my own board. Yeah. And I will never forget, you were so encouraging, Taz, and you really just made me feel really comfortable. And mother, to this day, don't I say that about Taz?
Yes.
And it's just so happy to see you. I didn't know at that point what was going to happen after.
Me neither.
I don't think any of us knew. But
no.
It's happy to see you. So update us on what's been going on since you worked here.
Wow, man. I'm pretty much retired from radio. I speak about 40 weeks out of the year, different colleges, universities, businesses. I've written a few books. This is my 6th book and my first number 1 book in 3 countries.
Look at that.
So,
what countries?
America.
Okay.
Australia and India.
Let's clap it up for that. Listen.
I was like, for real?
You an author out here.
Look, man, I went to Martin Luther King High School. I grew up in West Oak Lane. I should not be number 1 in India, let alone Australia. Good eye, Mike.
Well, it's a testament to you work hard and you put your passion into what you want, what your dream is, and what you want to see for yourself, and it'll happen.
Absolutely. So I'm blessed, man. I have absolutely zero complaints. I got married.
Yeah.
Nice. I have 2 children.
Congratulations.
It's just been absolutely amazing to be able to spend time with your family. You know? And people are like, what, you married? Yeah. You have kids? Yeah. By the same woman? Yes.
This doesn't happen anymore.
So, there's that. And then, I own a few businesses. So, I'm good,
Local businesses?
Yes, local.
What are they?
Well, I own Interbrand Media, which is a marketing and branding firm. I also spend time with iBrand University, which is a division of Interbrand Media, where I teach people how to brand themselves, entrepreneurs. Like everybody on my jacket, most of these people are local. If they're not local, they're not too far from me.
Yeah.
And I teach them how to sell, how to brand themselves, how to create their digital footprint. So there's a lot of that happening, especially with Black-owned businesses. We don't get the same type of education that kids who go to business school get. So it's a matter of me taking what I've learned and applying it to people who don't necessarily have the means or the resources.
Okay. So this number 1 book is called Pitch, Close, Upsell, and Repeat. We will talk about it. If you have a business, if you're trying to get a job, if you're trying to learn how to sell yourself, Dave Anderson, we can't call you Taz Daddy anymore. Can we call you Taz Daddy?
Look, man, mother's known me for a better part of 15 years. You can call me Taz. You can call me Taz. I'm not like, oh, don't call me Taz. My name's David Anderson now. Like, that's always going to be my name. I can't run from it.
Yeah.
But, professionionally, like, would you buy a book about selling?
Absolutely not.
Taz Daddy only sold 100,000 copies. This book is sold about 5.
Right. So. The Rise and Grind Morning Show, Power 99. Amina, say what with Mother Knows. We have friend to the show, David Anderson, a.k.a. Taz Daddy here. He is the author of a number 1 bestseller. Give it up for that man right there. It's called Pitch, Close, Upsell, and Repeat. It is a guide to sales, right?
Yes,
David
indeed.
Here?
Absolutely.
And why should people go out and buy this book? Sell it, Taz.
All right, the bottom line is the book is number 1 in 3 countries because I did not waste a lot of time. If you read a lot of sales books, they're covered in sales jargon and nonsense and fluff and BS. I cut all of that out. I gave you actual pitches that I've used in every job. So like for the past 5 years, I did a lot of research. I've sold websites. I've sold gutters. I've sold home security systems. I've sold food. I've sold water on Roosevelt Boulevard. Just to make sure I understood what I was doing. I did door-to-door sales the whole 9 because because there's a process that needs to happen. And what happens is if you're not communicating and you don't know how to communicate effectively, then what winds up happening is you're losing business. And then you don't get return business. So you're worried about trying to get a customer and then you can't keep a customer, or you're worried about how good your customer service is, but you have no funnel into bringing them in. And a lot of black businesses don't advertise because they're afraid, or they'll come to a radio station. The radio station will shove a package down their throat that doesn't necessarily align to their needs. And so you buy this book so that you can become that salesperson, that you can be able to coach yourself and go through a guide. And literally, I promise you, if you read it in the morning when you're on the toilet twice, you'll be done with the book, and then you'll go back and use it as a reference guide.
That's
it. 2 toilet reads. That's what I did. No fluff, no long. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. I gave you a manual. So that's why this book is selling, because I didn't do all the fancy dancy, Harvard School of Business nonsense. I literally got down to the meat of what is going to make you money and keep you working for yourself.
So if you're trying to get a job right now, you have to be a salesperson, right? Because you have to sell yourself to that company. If you're trying to grow your business, you have to be a salesperson because you have to sell your business to someone else.
Absolutely.
How long does someone have to pitch something to someone about why their product is good?
You probably have about 20 seconds if you're lucky.
20 seconds.
20 seconds.
That's it.
People judge you within the first 10 seconds of seeing you. So you've got 10 seconds to really get in there and do something. The days of the elevator pitch are over with. Shark Tank has made the situation really, really condensed. The Prophet has made the situation really, really condensed. People are smarter, and so now they're trying to get to a place where they can actually just get in and get down to brass tacks, because people are giving better quality stuff. So you can't necessarily come and say, hey, I'm great because I went to this school. That doesn't matter anymore. Can you deliver?
I want you to talk about why do you think taking any job is stupid? Because today we all know it's hard out here to find a job, and sometimes you have to take these small jobs before you can get to the big job.
Okay.
So please tell us.
Here's the thing, right? You can't just take any job. When you take a job, it has to be something that's going to be able to sooner or later fuel your passion or move your agenda. There's going to come a time when Mother Knows and Me to Say What are going to do things beyond this radio station. So you're communicating, you're making contacts, you're doing things. You're in line with what your path is. But if you're working at McDonald's and your dream is to be a mechanic, that's just taking a dumb job. A lot of times we'll do things that don't make sense to what it is we really want to do, and we wonder why we're miserable. 80% of the heart attacks happen in this country on Monday morning between 6 o'clock and 9, because most people are not doing what it is that they want to do, or they're not on the path that they want to do. To put that another way, Les Brown says what happens is you get up in the morning, the heart tells you don't want to go to that job, and it attacks you because you didn't listen.
Damn.
So, I'm sorry. Not to mention, how many times, here's another statistic. 60% of people, from the time that they get their first job to the time they retire, are never asking for a raise because they're too afraid.
So you're saying ask for more raises?
I would say get out of the job what you need to get out of the job and create your own business, create your own economy. I've been fired probably 5 times. I got fired from this lovely establishment.
Right.
But it woke me up. And now no one can fire me again.
I want to talk about the 20-second pitch because I want to hear what that sounds like, because that's hard to do. And we'll talk about, getting raises and taking proper jobs. Power 99, the Rising Grind Morning Show. Amina Say What with Mother Knows. We have a friend to the show, David Anderson. He's right here from West Oak Lane. He has a #1 bestseller. Let's clap it up for that.
In 3
Absolutely.
countries.
In 3 countries. It's called Pitch, Close, Upsell, Repeat. He is a sales guy that actually used to work here.
Absolutely.
So I want to talk about this whole theory of 60 seconds. We talked about a little bit about how long you have before you can sell yourself either to your boss or to a potential employer or your business to a potential customer. You said you have 20 seconds.
Absolutely.
What should you be saying in 20 seconds?
Okay, now a couple of things you have to understand. You have to introduce yourself. That's already spotted, so you don't count that. So if it were me and I was trying to pitch myself, for example, I'd say, hi, my name is David Anderson. I'm a graduate of Temple University, and I'm a salesperson. I'm a great salesperson. I've made $1.3 million for Nutrisystem in 6 months. I have been the #1 salesperson at ADT. On top of that, I helped revamp the way that iHeartMedia now does social media, and now it's going even further. So I'm the person you need to hire. If you don't want to hire me, you're going to regret it sooner or later.
20 seconds. Did you time a mother?
No.
Was that good? That's good.
Yeah.
So you should include what you've done.
Absolutely.
The results that you can give.
Absolutely.
And then what should you have on hand at all times if you're trying to pitch yourself or your business?
You want to do something that's different. When I would audition for different jobs or try to get different jobs, I've sent pizzas to people with my package in plastic. Right now, what you should have at all times is a flash drive, a bunch of them, and you can get them really cheap. And on that flash drive, you should have your resume, a picture of yourself, really stellar references, and what I call the hot sheet. The hot sheet is your highlights of the things that you've done, what monsters you've killed, and when I say that, I mean the things that you've accomplished that are monumental, that'll set you apart from everybody else. If you have that on you at all times, you can give that to somebody. They can look at it at their leisure. Most people are walking around with paper resumes. You can't carry that, but you can carry a flash drive, and you'll be more apt to look at it. And even if they don't hire you, they'll remember you, and they'll have something that they can use. So 9 times out of 10, they'll look at it.
Let me ask about business cards, because I know a lot of people don't even carry them anymore. I mean, people are on their cell phones every day. How do you feel about actually carrying a business card? Should you still do that?
You should still do that. You should still have it, but you also need to be prepared and have your phone open to the contacts so that you can get that information. You do both. Absolutely. I have business cards right now.
Okay.
You've worked with some of the best in radio.
Absolutely.
Ricky Smiley, Wendy Williams.
Yes.
What valuable lessons have you learned from Ricky and Wendy?
Okay, I'll start with Wendy. Wendy Williams lovingly fired me from Power 99 the first time I got fired.
Damn.
No. Let me explain this. Wendy Williams sat where you're sitting and said to me, "You are hungry. You don't need to be here. Nobody's leaving. Colby Cole wasn't going nowhere. Mikey Dredd was stacking T-shirts in his dreads were to here. So
yeah, he was on the promo team.
Yeah, he was on the promo team. So there was no room for me to go anywhere. So she said, you need to go. And I'm doing this because I went to the U.S. Virgin Islands and worked for $25 a week. And I see in you what I saw in me. Next time I see you, you'll be somebody." The next time I saw her, she was coming into my studio as I was the executive producer of Ricky Smiley's morning show.
Nice.
How you doing?
How you doing?
She ran her own board, Wendy?
No,
right?
No,
okay.
no. Those days were over.
Yeah, I was just
By the time I got Wendy did not run her own board.
Okay.
And what's so crazy is that a lot of people don't know that you're responsible for Ricky Smiley syndication.
Yep, they like to try and erase that part from history, but you can't. I got the awards to prove it. But with Ricky, I learned a couple of things. Number one, you have to be willing to do what other people won't do. Number two, you have to take responsibility for your shortcomings. There were certain things that I was just a little too ahead of the curve with the last time I was here, that now as an adult, and I'm almost pushing 40 at this point, I know what I should have done differently.
Okay.
I will say this, the one thing that I've learned from Ricky above all else is know your audience and understand where you are in the world and where you want to be. And he was very good at knowing where he was. Like if he was doing a show with Steve Harvey, he wouldn't do a headliner set. He would do a middle set because you don't want to try and outshine your headliner. So you got to understand you're playing your position. It's chess, not checkers.
Right.
Which is extremely important. We don't do that. We all want to go, here, look at me, I'm great. Instead of, taking your time, staying in the background a little bit, and then striking at the right moment. We want to start hitting everybody with body blows out of the door, and you can't do that. So those were incredible lessons. When I put DJ Clue's syndicated weekend show in 2005 in 80 markets, I learned from Clue that he is a very quiet guy. He's about his business. He's concentrated. He doesn't want to deal with the headaches. So I would handle those headaches.
Okay.
And that's the things that you have to understand. You have to know who you're dealing with and what they want. And the main thing that any employer, any customer, any person that you're dealing with in business wants is for you to solve a problem. If you solve a problem, you've sold. If you've had consensual sex, you've sold.
Hey.
So don't act like you're not a salesperson. If you hate salespeople, it's because you hate shady salespeople. Salespeople make the world go round.
Okay.
Bottom line.
Power 99, it's the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Amina Say What with Mother Nose. And we are talking to a friend to the show. He actually used to work here. You might know him as Taz Daddy, but now he's David Anderson.
Yes.
He's the #1 best-selling author of Pitch, Close, Upsell, Repeat. We have some calls that we got to get to because people had some things to say.
All right.
So let's go. Hello, good morning.
I wanted to comment on the comment that he made about not taking McDonald's when you want to be a mechanic.
Dave Anderson is here, David Anderson, and yeah, he has the book called Pitch, Close, Upsell, Repeat. What's your comment?
My comment is, if you have bills to pay, you have to take a job to get those bills paid. Like, for instance, I hate outbound sales. I took an outbound sales call, hated it. One day on my lunch break, I walked around, found a restaurant. I was working at the restaurant, ran into a customer who, a couple years down the road, got me into Comcast Spectacor. So sometimes you have to take a job that you don't like to pay your bills, but keep actively looking. don't take the McDonald's job if you want to be a mechanic and stop looking, but you still have to pay bills. There's too many people like, I don't want to work at McDonald's.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because when he was saying that, I actually had that thought, because they say it's easier to get a job when you have a job.
When you have a job.
Right. So what are your thoughts on that?
Like I said, I don't mind you taking a job, just don't take any job. If you're going to take a menial job, you can take a menial job that's still along the lines of what you want to do. You know, when my mother wanted to start her own salon, she went to beauty school, and at the time, all she could do was shampoo because she didn't have a license. So she came in and she shampooed, and that was a crap job. But then when she wound up running the biggest salon downtown at what was then John Wanamaker's, you know, she was making a hell of a lot of money. But if she had just decided to wash cars, it would not have gotten her on that career path. Do you understand my logic? I'm not saying don't take a job to pay your bills. I'm saying find a job that's going to help you pay your bills, but still make sure you can find something in line. And there are plenty of things you can do. The fact that you did outbound sales prepared you not only to be a better person at that restaurant, because you had to work on those communication skills and begin to sell the things on the menu, but it also put you in a position where somebody at Comcast who worked there saw and recognized something in you to put you in a position to get that job.
And I'm glad you said that, David, because I actually know somebody right now that actually had passed up on a job in their field because it didn't pay enough. So you're saying take the job that doesn't pay enough and then work towards getting something more in line with what you want.
My first producer gig happened in Philly across the street. And that happened because I was sitting in a position where I was getting coffee and donuts, but I was still producing the show when this guy was off. This guy was doing some corrupt stuff. They fired him. I got that gig. Because I was there, I already knew the format of the show, the talent was comfortable with me. Sometimes it's not about where you start, it's how you finish. And once you get in there and you outwork everybody, so you can be talented. There have been plenty of talented people come through these doors, just these doors. But when you actually are able to outwork everybody, they're going to keep you.
Talk about it.
You
so
know?
we were talking about 20 seconds. People need to pitch themselves and their business in 20 seconds. You said have a flash drive on hand and have a business card. Now, you said something that was interesting. You said 60% of people never ask for a raise. People don't understand when you're asking for a raise, you need to sell why you need a raise.
Absolutely.
And you're a sales guy, so talk to people about how they can do that.
Here's the best way to ask for a raise. First of all, stop going in there talking about, well, you know, I've been here for this long and I've done this and I'm going to get, and I dissolve my life. I had to fight. That does not help you. You sound like a whiner and a complainer. Here's what you do. You remind people of the value that you bring. Now, there are people who do one job and they do one job effectively. They can expect to ask for maybe a 3 to 5% increase. But if you're, you know, if you're the director of social media, if you're running the board, if you're doing mornings, if you're out, you know, handling a dance team, then maybe you can ask for a couple, you know, you can ask for a couple extra dollars beyond that. But you have to show how much money you've brought in versus what your salary is and what you think the market can bear. And you need to have some stats with you. We don't come with numbers. We come with emotion. This is not show feelings. This is show business. And when you're putting on the show, make sure the business is up front.
Okay. And if you get shot down, how do you then reapproach the conversation?
You say, okay, I understand that. I appreciate that. I understand that we're just a little bit apart, and I understand that that's not going to affect my work. And at that point, you start looking. Because if somebody doesn't value you, somebody else will.
Okay. Well, thank you, David Anderson.
Yes.
We really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you back. Taz, which is how I met him, Taz Daddy actually ran the board when I first auditioned to be here on Power 99.
Absolutely.
So I feel like we've both come full circle. And Mother, you know Taz forever,
I know
right?
Taz for at least a good 15 years. Absolutely. And I am blessed to say you are a friend. I'm thankful that you are doing good with yourself. And I want to go to Twitter because the real LA tweeted, so happy I'm listening to Power 99 Philly right now. I needed all of this pure motivation and inspiration. So you never know who you are inspiring in the moment.
That's a blessing. Let me tell you something, man. In 6 months, I'm going to Osaka, Japan to help. To help business owners who just learned English as a second language work on their sales skills. But I want to help everybody here in the Philadelphia area. So if you go to ibrainuniversity.com/grind, I'm going to give you a seminar that's absolutely free. I charge $600 for the seminar, and it's how to fire your boss and quit your job in 6 months.
Wow.
So
repeat that again.
ibrainuniversity.com/grind.
All right. David Anderson right here from West Oak Lake.
Yes, sir.
#1 bestseller. Thank you for coming through, man.
Thank you so much.
Continued success to you. And, man, we're just happy to have you back.
And
much
love to your family.
Absolutely.
Hey, Janae. Hey, Devlin. Hey, Dory.
To
Love
the
you.
1-year-old, the 17-year-old, and the wife now.
Yes,
All
absolutely.
right.
Nothing but girls in my house.
Thank you. you for coming.
He's one of the leading business coaches and branding experts in the US, generating millions of dollars for brands like Nutrisystem, The Ricky Smiley Morning Show, iHeartMedia, and Les Brown. He's impacted over 1 million people from the stage. Now, best-selling author David Anderson releases his latest book, Pitch, Close, Upsell, Repeat, a practical guide to sales dominance. Learn how to conquer fear of selling, how to get people to buy from you, and more. This book will motivate and inspire you to unleash the sales beast inside of you. Pitch, Close, Upsell, Repeat by David Anderson is available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, or wherever fine books are sold.
Ladies and gentlemen, and lady friends, please do not attempt to adjust your earlobes. The champ is in the building. This is the David Anderson Radio Movement. I am David Anderson, author, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and all-around great guy. Yes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feeling really good right now. I want you to feel good. Yes. I want you to love yourself right now. I want you to feel all this positive energy I am sending through your internet, through your iPod, through your iPhone, your Android, through your Kindle Fire. However you're listening to me right now, receive this positive energy I'm giving you. Yes. Now, before I get into this awesomeness that is this hot fire I will be spitting like I'm Dylon on steroids, I need to tell you that the David Anderson Radio Movement is being brought to you today by DavidEmpowerment.com, where you can get all your growth, development, entrepreneurial, and motivational needs. You can book me for speaking engagements. That's right. All my cats who are in colleges, all of my church groups, everyone who has been itching and wondering when I was going to start doing speaking engagements again. It's 2013, baby. The time is now, and I am open. So, hit me up. There are some slots still available for February and March. April's a wrap. But I'm really excited, man. I really want to have a good time out with you, making things happen as I prepare to finish this book. Working title is called Shift. I'm thinking of changing it up to something just a little bit more graphic so that people get the message. Because sometimes you got to smack people upside the head with the message so that they get what's in there. Also, the David Anderson Radio Movement is being brought to you by Spreaker.com. I only play for the team I own, so make sure you please head over to Spreaker.com and start your very own podcast. And you can still use the code TAZ10. Yes, I still use Taz. It's a nickname, but professionally I'm David Anderson. It doesn't mean that I've changed. I haven't changed. I've gotten better. I've evolved, people. Evolved with the champ. That's right. You can't be a father of a teenager. People talking about, what's up, Taz Daddy? How that look? That's not a good look. But listen, I'm very excited because on DavidEmpowerment.com there are so many things you can get right now, including some awesome audio specials. If you've never heard me in the pulpit, I've got a live recording you can check out. You can also check out a conversation I had with a great DJ in North Carolina, a good friend of mine, a guy named Kyle Santillian, and we talk about the importance of utilizing common sense, not just for you, not just for me, but for celebrities and people who seem to lack it for whatever reason. So you definitely want to check that out. There's also awesome articles and things that I've written that you can download right now if you go to davidempowerment.com. Peep the blog, and you get all the past episodes of the movement right there on the site. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited. Now, today's show is entitled Why Most People Are Broke. And when I put this topic out there on Facebook and on Twitter, I had some very interesting responses. Some people believe that most people are broke because they don't manage money well. Some people don't handle their finances the best way that they possibly can. Some people think that it's because you buy stuff you don't need to impress people you don't like, which I will definitely agree with that. Let me tell you something. When I started understanding that I don't have time for the nonsense, life opened up on a brand new plane for the champ. Yes, indeed it did. And I'm going to get you there. I will take you there. Yes, I will. Yes, I will, people. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to give you the key reason why most people are broke. And it's the hustle that you've been fed for the longest time. And it bothers me to no end. It really does. Are you ready for it? Are you paying attention? Are you writing this down? Because I'm about to give it to you. The reason why most people are broke, it's not because they're not financially literate. It's not because they have bad credit, although those things contribute. The reason that most people are broke is simply this. Most people are broke because they only have one stream of revenue. No. Most people are broke because they only have one stream of revenue. To put that another way, most people have a job. A job. I remember being a kid in the 90s. I'd watch a show called In Living Color. It came on Fox. And it was with all the Wayans. And Jim Carrey was on there. And you had Jamie Foxx was there for a minute. Jennifer Lopez was a fly girl, but didn't nobody know who she was. And she was a bit chunky back in them days, but that's all right. Here's the thing. Most people are broke because they only have one revenue stream. And when I watched In Living Color, they had this segment called Hey Man, and it was about this Jamaican family. And this Jamaican family had 1,000,001 jobs. And they would ridicule people who had 2 and 3 jobs. 2 jobs, you lazy goat! That's what they would say. Because they understood the importance, while it was all in fun, of having multiple income streams, multiple sources of revenue. Here's the thing. Whenever I want to have fun, I go to my fun money. Whenever I pay bills, I pay that with the bill money. But the fun money and the bill money have nothing to do with each other. Here's what I mean. I'm going to give you insight about what I do. Now keep in mind, you can listen to somebody else if you want to. But I am somebody who went from having a driver and flying private to being homeless and living in my Jeep to finding success again. And the way I found success this time is not only through doing things online as far as my radio show and things of that is concerned, but I decided to diversify my revenue streams. I'll give you some examples. You know that I'm a speaker. So I will make, if I'm doing a charity event or something like that, I may take an honorarium of something like $500. Because at the end of the day, I love to speak. So I'll do a $500 speech for a nonprofit. $500 to $1,500 for an honorarium, something small like that. No big deal. That's one stream of income. Now let's say if I'm having a lazy year, and a lazy year is somewhere around 2 speaking gigs a month, that's 24 speaking gigs a year. I'm clocking just from that one revenue stream. Stay with me now, because we're going to do some real simple math. I am clocking, seriously, let's take the low end. Let's take the low end. So that's $12,000 a year if I go for $500 per charity gig. Those are charity gigs. That's not, corporate events, things of that nature. But let's just factor in, let's just say I'll clear good $2,000 a month. 2,000 times 12, 24 grand. 24 grand with very little effort on my part as being a motivational speaker. Now that's not much, but let's factor in book sales. My book is available everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, all that good stuff. You can get the book. And the audiobook's about to drop. And I clear, if it's $15.95, I clear about 75% of that. So let's round that up. Let's say I'm getting about $12 a book. I'll probably sell 10,000 of those in a year. So that's, let's see. Let's do that times, because I'm doing the math live. Yes, I am. That's an additional 13, 14 grand. So add that in with the speaking money. If I just do charity, I'm killing the game right now. I'm killing the game. And it's that simple. 24,000 plus the additional 13 grand from speaking, I'm at 3,700 and I haven't broken a sweat yet. Now, we haven't counted the fact that I have a brand new book, which will probably be a bestseller. So I may move somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 units, but for crafts and gigs, let's take it down, because this book is going to be cheaper than the last one because I need more people to get this information. Not even dealing with Kindle sales. Let's just deal with brick and mortar paperback sales. So that'll probably net me a good 18 grand. So that's 18 grand. Plus, let's see, at 37 I has had, I'm at 55 grand. Oh, and by the way, I have an ADT franchise, which will probably net me another 65 to 80,000 this year. So let's just go on the low end and just add that to, let's just put 65,000, you know, in addition to what I'm already getting. I'm at 120 grand. Now that's not counting my online businesses and the things that I do that most people won't, that don't cost me any money, that are totally free, and that will keep me rocking. It's very simple math. And it's like, you can say, oh, well, you can do that because you have the luxury and the freedom. No, I don't. I don't have the luxury and the freedom. And that's exactly why I do it. So that I can enjoy myself and afford the things that I want. And the only way I can do that is to constantly look for new opportunities to diversify myself. See, the more assets that I have, the more those assets pay for me to do other things, which in turn generates other income. It's very simple. But see, most people won't do that. Most people will sit back and tell you why they can't do something. Most people will sit back and tell you, oh, just get a good job or just go to school. Well, I went to school. Matter of fact, I'm in school right now. Yes. And I'll be coming out in May. And trust me, it's going to be a good time. A good time will be had by all. But please, don't get it jacked up. I'm not going to school because that's going to make me more money. I'm going to school because I want some more growth and enlightenment so that I can share with you. Because that will allow me to make sure that I leave an impact on this earth. And if that impact so happens to bring in some additional revenue, cool. But I'm not looking for it to do that. Because the truth of the matter is, I know PhDs who are attending bar right now. I know people with MBAs who are parking cars as valets right now outside the Four Seasons when they need to be inside having brunch making moves. But they can't. Or at least that's what they convince themselves. You believe what it is you believe about yourself. You see only what it is that you believe about yourself. And when I say these things to you, you have to understand I've been there. I understand it. I still go through it. I still have my doubts. You know, there are a lot of things that I wish I would have done differently. But if I had done those things differently, I would not have the education that I have now. And I got more education sleeping inside that Jeep and living in my brother's garage for a year than I did all my time at Temple University. And Temple University is a fine institution of higher learning. But what I'm saying to you is, an education goes beyond the parchment that they give you after you spend $10,000 a semester for room, board, books, and fees. After you busted your fingers to the bone on a work-study job. But see, there are some people who will say, oh, that entrepreneurial route, it's scary, it's uncertain. No, you know what's scary and uncertain? Getting in a car every day. You get in a car, which by itself probably weighs somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 pounds. Then you get on the highway to go to some job with hundreds of other cars that weigh 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 or 6,000 pounds. And you just know automatically that you're going to get there safely. You know that. It's almost like a foregone conclusion. But yet and still, so many thousands of people die in auto wrecks. So many people are texting and driving, and it doesn't have to be you. It could be somebody else that hits you and take you out, but you'll get on that highway every day. You will break your neck to get to the man. And then when you get to the man, God forbid you get hit and you survive and you still make it into the office, then you have a workman's comp issue, and the company doesn't want to pay workman's comp, so what do? You go to your doctor says, oh no, you can't work. You need to stay off for a week. The company says, go see our doctor. And while you're on your way, limping, to the company doctor who's supposed to take an oath that says do no harm. It's called the Hippocratic Oath. What happens is that doctor says, oh no, you can go back to work because he works for the company. And because the doctor works for the company, he's not thinking about your best interest. He's thinking about lining his pockets and keeping that fat, easy check coming in. So do you see where the problem comes in? Do you see where the issues are? The issues are with you, because you're subjecting yourself to a system that's never been designed to make you money. And there are people who will listen to this and say, oh, Dave don't know what he's talking about. Taz done went off the deep end. Blah, 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 blah. But hey, proof is in the pudding. Every day I wake up, I get a notice from PayPal saying that I've got more money. Every day. Without fail. Without fail. Because I got smart. And by getting smart, I begin to understand that this money's got to go somewhere, so it might as well come to me. Now, last year I concentrated really hard on interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, marriages, and how we communicate with each other. I concentrated really hard on that. This year it is my mission to get you out of your financial plantation. Oh, that's right, I said it. Some of y'all are slaves. The majority of you are slaves. You've been put into an institution and don't even realize it. You're in the matrix. And Mr. Anderson is coming to save you. Woo! Yes. Now everybody ain't gonna want to take the green pill. They're not. Some people want to take that red pill. Oh, cause I got to deal with, I got to do my finances and, my 401k and this, that, and the other. I'll never forget this as long as I live. I moved to Dallas. And when I moved to Dallas, I went to work for a station called K104. A lot of great people have come from K104, some that you would know. Tom Joyner worked at K104 at one point. I worked at K104. Former MTV VJ KK Holiday worked at K104. Afternoon Drive guy in Chicago, UB Rodriguez. What up, UB? He worked at K104. A lot of great people have come through K104. And the funny thing with K104 is that I remember after I signed my contract, I said, hey, there's nothing in here about a 401k. And Skip Cheatham, my boss at the time, said, Taz, your 401k is K104. In other words, there's so much money on the table here, you better make sure you get yours. And I looked around and I started looking at the other jocks, and the other jocks were doing things like buying McDonald's, owning gas stations, and things of that nature. And I'm like, wow. That's the move. And that's where I realized that ownership changes everything. I got fans telling me a lot. Hey, man, you need to go back to Blog Talk. Yeah, when Blog Talk gives me an ownership stake, I'll be back. Real rap. Sorry. I like the Spreaker check. I do. But anything can happen. Anything can happen. But you have to be willing to change and reprogram the thinking that you've been thinking for the longest time. You got to change those thoughts. I mean, my favorite book says, do not be conformed by this world. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And I have come to renew your mind. Please understand that. Please understand that. Because let me tell you something, man. Here's the thing. When I was a kid, my father worked for the government. My mother was a teacher. And I watched them slave for 40 years. My father didn't make it that long. He retired early because he wanted to try and relax a little bit. But he was really sick. My father had Alzheimer's. So by the time I was 17, my father was basically nowhere near in the condition that he was when I was coming up. But the old adage is, you work 40 years, 40 hours a week, and you get paid for the rest of your life on 40% of your income. Can you right now live on 40% of what you make? Survey says hell no. But yet and still, you're more concerned about your job than your health. You're more concerned about the job than your relationships. You're more concerned about your job than your growth. When's the last time you read a book for leisure? When's the last time you bought something just for yourself? Just for yourself. and actually had the time to enjoy it. When? Why are you always the last person on your own list? It doesn't make any sense. That's what I need to free you from. So I got to start with the mentality. Because what they've done is they've institutionalized your mind into believing that having the job is sane and being an entrepreneur is weird. It's risky. It's scary. Every week I watch Shark Tank. Every week I watch it. And I remember Mark Cuban when he was involved in Yahoo and everybody thought he was some crazy, nerdy dude till he turned around and he bought the Cavs. I mean the Mavs, my bad. I'm thinking of the Cavaliers, but had Mavs in my brain. He bought the Mavs. Then he went and bought HDNet. Then he went and hired Dan Rather. Then the Mavs won a championship. Then HDNet started getting some Emmys. Now all of a sudden, people don't laugh at Mark Cuban anymore. But he had to take that first step. But so many of y'all are worried about the finish line, worrying about problems that haven't even happened yet, that you're unwilling and unmotivated to handle the problems that's standing right in front of your mirror. You are your problem. It ain't your boss. It ain't Obama. It ain't John Boehner. It's you. Y-O-U. Because you won't do what is necessary. My grandfather used to say this to me all the time. Now, my grandfather was a self-made man. He used to, in Philadelphia, at 16th and Chestnut, shine shoes for a nickel so that his family could eat. And when I was a kid, after seeing his 2-3 houses and, his massive garage and all the things that he had accomplished, although I didn't understand any of that, I didn't understand what all that meant, he said to me something that has taken me far in life. No matter how far I've gone, no matter how depressed I've gotten, no matter how broke I was, my grandfather said, do what you have to do today so that you can do what you want to do tonight. Do what you have to do today so that you can do what you want to do tonight. And it can happen like that. For some people, it doesn't happen like that because you don't get out of your own way, or you half-ass, or you lazy. You will cheat yourself but give your all to your boss because your boss has more power over your life than you do. There's not something wrong with that to you? And if I'm not speaking to you, please don't take offense. But I'm speaking to those who don't understand that you are more important than your boss. You are. Because you are who makes your boss looks good. You are a feather in that man's hat or that woman's hat. So start carrying yourself like that. I remember being in Nashville, Tennessee in 2004, and the ratings had come out, and I was number 2. Now keep in mind, the station was in 15th place, but my time slot went from 15 to number 2. Only behind the sports talk station. I'd beaten everybody. And I went to my general manager and said, hey, I did it in a year. I need a raise. Not I want, because people can always talk about your wants, but they can't argue about your needs. Always choose your words carefully. I said, I need a raise. And he said, well, I don't really think it's in the budget. I said, okay, cool. And so that's when I went to the sales department. And I asked them how much people were paying for my commercials, to have a commercial during my show. And they told me that they were paying anywhere from $60 to $140 per 60-second spot for my commercial. So I rounded it down. Let's just say 60 seconds, right? $60 for one spot. In a commercial break, there are 5 spots each commercial break. You got 2 commercial breaks an hour. So that's 60 times 5, 300 times 2, that's 600 times, I was doing a 5-hour shift. So that's $3,000 a shift they were making. A shift off of me. $3,000 every day I went in there to rock that microphone from 7 to midnight. That's how much they were making. And this man had the nerve to tell me it wasn't in the budget. Oh, but it gets better. When my contract was up, see, in radio you have 90 days prior to your contract being up to renegotiate, to decide if you want to take it. It's just like being in an NBA situation. And so I went to my program director, who's my direct boss. The general manager handles money, but I negotiate with my program director. And he was like, well, the GM has said you either sign this new contract or you're fired. And I told him I'll just work out. And that's what I did. I worked out my contract. And that Christmas, I wound up being fired. But the whole station got fired because they decided to flip to a sports talk format. So had I signed that contract anyway, I'd have been locked into that company, and they could have shifted me to North Carolina, which is what they wanted to do. They wanted to send me back to North Carolina, to the station I had just finished beating, to get out of there in the first place. People controlling you like you're a commodity, like you're a product. But it's no different if you work in a cubicle. It's no different if you're working at a cash register at Bottom Dollar Food or Fresh Grocer or Super Fresh or Pick and Save or Kroger or Kmart or whatever. You are a commodity that can be traded. That's how they look at you. But how do you look at yourself? I look at myself as more than that. I'm more than a number. I'm a human being. I'm flesh and blood and bone, and I have a soul and I have a spirit, and I deserve to have this life. Because here's the one fact about life that no one wants to talk about. Nobody in the history of life has gotten out of it alive. So why in the world am I going to live a BS existence? Why am I going to live weak? Why am I going to live fake? Why am I going to live under my potential? And why in the world would I want to live broke? One job, huh? One stream of revenue. If you get fired, then what? Oh, unemployment? Yeah, you see how they cutting that in Congress. Good luck with that. What are you going to do? Are you ready? Are you fired up yet? Have I pissed you off enough? Have I made you take a good look at that bank account and wonder how you're going to sit up here and go to a store and swipe your card and pray to God like you're looking at a slot machine that it goes through approved so that you're not embarrassed? Aren't you sick of that kind of existence? Well, if you are, I got some news for you. You can go to my Facebook page right now, facebook.com/soundlikeahater. Facebook.com/soundlikeahater. You can also go to TazDaddy.com/revenue. Or you can go to TazDaddy.com/work. If I were you, I'd go to all three. And if you missed any of that, run it back, rewind it. It's that simple. The information is here for you. I got a way for you to get out. And most of the ways that I have will cost you $0 and 0 cents. Some of the ways there are a buy-in, I'm not going to lie to you. But guess what? How much did you spend and waste on gas this week? How much did you spend and waste on lunch this week? Eating stuff that you don't really want, that you can't really enjoy, that you have to scarf down while you're running back to the job because the boss is watching you like you are in prison. It's people on death row have more freedom than you do. And they sit in a cage 23 hours a day. Yeah, you sit in 8, but you worried about going back tomorrow. You worried about that report or that review that boss is trying to hang over your head. When will you say I've had enough? When will you say I can't take this nonsense anymore? When you're ready, I'll be here. In the meantime, I'm going to need you to step it up. And since I done beat up on you a little bit, I want to talk to you a little bit, make you feel a little better. I want you to love yourself. I want you to do something for yourself. I want you to feel good about yourself. I want you to stop talking and start moving. I want you to stop wishing and start living. And most importantly, I want you to stop working for somebody else. I want you to stop being a slave and start being an owner. I said it. Get at me. You know where to find me. www.davidempowerment.com. At Twitter on Like a Hater. That's right. At Like a Hater on Twitter. That's what it is. Holla at me. Stop using your words. Start using your actions.